for making the time at the end of the day to come and have a listen. So my name's Tom Dore. I am the head of international relations for the British eSports Federation. I'm also a very recent ex-teacher. I've taught for the best part of 20 years, from pupil referral units through some of the original sponsored one of the original sponsored academies, through Leafy Green comprehensives, and the last 7 years I've taught in a highly selective independent day school. During those 19-20 years, I was a pastoral leader. I was the director of maths and science. I was an associate principal in charge of assessment and progress. And so when we went into special measures for the third time, that was the time I decided I'd had enough, and I swapped across to the independent sector and was just a normal teacher again for the last 7 years. Now, I got into esports not because I'm a massive gamer. I got into esports because I could see just how many young people I worked with were into gaming. And I have a background in traditional sport, as does Kalam. And, I've always looked through my teaching career at ways to engage young people outside of the classroom, so that when they come back into my classroom, I was a science teacher, that there's a way in which you can engage with them. Finding the band that they like, finding the sports team, that the football team that they support, which instrument do they play, what clubs do they do, all those different things, so that when you're seeing them out and around, out in the corridors, out in the playground, they see you slightly differently, so that when you're in the classroom, you have a profession, you're starting to build a different relationship with them, or you've built a different relationship with them, so they see you slightly differently. Now, I think esports, and if I'm being very honest, a lot of computing teachers, for whatever reason, have not necessarily got into this in the way that they really could do. Being very honest with you, I've been trying to engage with BCS for years, STEM learning for years, to say, look at what you've got here. Look at the opportunities that are here to engage young people in an inherently tech-based activity. Look at then the career options in digital, in STEM-based careers that come from this. How can you use esports in your classrooms to really engage those young people in the same way as we do for traditional sport? So in the same way, and I'm not saying this is right, but in the same way sports teachers get looked at by some students in school, computer science teachers, computing teachers, computer departments could suddenly become even cooler, because you are the teams that are delivering esports. You are running the gaming clubs. You are running the esports teams in your school. You are giving the opportunity for young people to follow their passion and follow their passion in gaming in ways that they don't currently get to do. So I want you to look at this as being not just about playing video games, but about the opportunities for young people to develop a range of digital, creative media and STEM-based skills, and therefore, hook into your subject in ways that they maybe don't at the moment, and therefore the opportunities that come through. So British eSports, we're the UK's national body. We're not for profit. We're established in 2016 with permission from the UK government, authority from the UK government. Our aims really are to support the whole range of community, to help people understand what esports actually is and what the opportunities are around it. At the top end, we organise the national teams. So, for example, Team GB, we link very closely with the wider Team GB. And so for events like the Global Esports Games, it's actually happening next week in Riyadh in Saudi, the Olympic Esports Week as well that happened in Singapore at the end of June, the Commonwealth Esports Championship that happened in Birmingham alongside the Commonwealth Games. We're the organisation that facilitates those teams and organises those representative teams going to events, international events. Our founder and CEO is a guy called Chester King. He sits on the International Olympic Committee's Esports and Liaison Gaming Group. International Olympic Committee's Esports Liaison Group. He's also a vice president of the Global Esports Federation, which is a convening body of 130 different nations around the world. I am also the vice chair of the Education, Culture, Youth Commission of the Global Esports as well. So Global Esports was established by people coming out of the Olympic movement, and really is trying to set up the Olympic equivalent in esports, and it has a very close relationship with the International Olympic Committee, as well as a UN agencies that you can see listed there. So they have organised the Commonwealth Esports Championship, although we British Esports were heavily involved in facilitating the whole competition that ran in Birmingham alongside the Commonwealth Games. Then Istanbul this time last year, that's for Phil's. He's our Street Fighter player. He won a silver medal in Street Fighter this time last year. And then Singapore, it was the Olympic Esports Week at the end of June. And Chester, that's Chester there with the tie on over in Singapore. The IOC are just about to announce the Olympic Esports Games. They're changing the name from the Olympic Esports Week, and it will be the Olympic Esports Games. And they're not going to organise it they haven't got time now to organise it in Paris for 2024, but it will probably be back in Singapore in 2025. LA 28, it will definitely be on the list, on the official list in LA 28. And then Poland Esports, the European Esports Championship as well. So what is esports? Esports is classified as organised competitive video gaming. It's always human versus human, most of the time team versus team. So it's not in your bedroom on your own late at night playing against a computer, eating Doritos, drinking Monster. It's absolutely not that. It's teams of people playing against other teams of people. As an ex-teacher, as somebody who's I'm a cricket coach, I'm a golf coach, as somebody who's into traditional sports as well, I wouldn't feel comfortable sitting in front of educators like yourself saying video gaming is the best thing in the world. Everybody should be doing it regardless. I wouldn't do that. Video gaming has its place. Esports, which is the team versus team aspect, competitive aspect of video gaming, absolutely, because it allows people to compete in the same way in a team as they do in traditional sports, and therefore develop all the same skills that you develop through the schools acknowledge that young people develop through traditional team-based activities, through sport, through music, through drama. Young people can do that through playing esports as part of a team. So esports can be played on PC, on console, on mobile. In different parts of the world, so for example, in Southeast Asia, mobile gaming is massive. In Europe and in the UK, it hasn't really reached us over here yet. So these at the bottom of the screen, you can see different genres of video game. So in the same way as different genres of music, there's different genres of video game, and then different age ratings that go with those video games as well. It's important to say all the stuff we do in schools is age appropriate. Essentially, we run by the PEGI game rating, so that's something you can reassure people about straight away. So 1 versus 1 right the way through to 6 versus 6 in terms of the team size. Some of the the traditional sports games, the fighting games, are 1 versus 1. Things like Street Fighter, Tekken, FIFA, for example, are traditionally 1 versus 1. Those sports-based games and the fighting games aren't actually the most popular video game esports titles. The most popular esports are the multi-online battle arena games, things like League of Legends and Dota 2, Arena of Valor, Free Fire in Southeast Asia, and then the first-person shooter games like Call of Duty, CS:GO, Fortnite. Those are the most popular games around the world. So it's not just about playing the game. It's not just about being the player. The industry that surrounds the video game, in the esports industry and the wider video game industry, is obviously massive. And I'm hoping I'm talking to the converted here, where you realize the opportunities, the career opportunities, the career pathways that now exist. Here's just an example of some of the organizations involved in different areas within the esports industry. What I'd like to point out to you here is the red box at the top, the publishers. So if we wanted to organize a football tournament or a tennis tournament, nobody owns football, nobody owns tennis. Okay, we could organize a tournament whenever we choose to. Somebody owns each of those video games. Your Rocket Leagues, your Fortnites, your Call of Duty are owned by the publishers. They are essentially the governing body for their video game, in the same way that FIFA is for football and things like that. The publishers make the rules, and they say what they say goes, essentially. So there's a difference. We cannot call ourselves a governing body. We're a national body, and we try and influence, and we've got good relationships with these organizations. However, bottom line is what they say with the rules of their game goes. So at the professional sense, you get stadiums, 20, 30, 40,000 seat stadiums filling out with people coming to watch the games that they love and the teams that they love in exactly the same way as they do in traditional sport. So, for example, you can see the stage in the middle here, surrounded by big screens, and that's where the sort of the highlight reels are going to be played, and clips from different parts of the game are played. This is the international. It's a tournament for Dota 2. If you look at the prize pool there, $35 million prize pool for the teams that competed in this in the world finals here. The winning team of 5 that won this event won $11.5 million between the 5 of them. So at the professional sense, professional esports teams have nutritionists, they have sleep coaches, they have psychologists, they have personal trainers, exactly like happens in professional sport. It mirrors professional sport. You then have the commentators, or shoutcasting as it's known in esports. Imagine wrestling. Okay, if you can imagine how the commentators work people up, work the audience up in wrestling, the same thing happens in esports. And so you'll have on the screen above the stage, that's where you'll have the different plays that are happening, different moves that are happening at different points in the game will be broadcast up there and commentated on. In the bottom left-hand corner of these and the bottom right-hand corner of the screens, you can see just the production team that are involved. Because it's very important to say at this point, okay, it's not just about the players. Very, very few people will go on to become professional esports athletes in the same way as young people taking sports qualifications or doing sports courses. Same thing happens in esports. However, the industry that surrounds esports, linked to the digital creative media production event side of esports, is absolutely huge. And so the career opportunities for young people in this space are massive. So in the same way that we recognize, as I've mentioned, about the team-based activities in schools and how that helps young people develop the holistic character skills that we want, the leadership, communication, decision-making, problem-solving, strategic thinking, esports allows young people to do that. It engages a wider demographic of young people, though. In my school, of the team of 6 that played in Overwatch a few years ago, before Overwatch changed from 6 down to 5 again, of the 6 people in the team, 4 of those students did not represent the school in any other activity. So it's an opportunity for those young people who are not into traditional sport, who are not into traditional music, drama, all those types of activities. It's their opportunity to do something that they love, follow their passion, find their community, and then for us to celebrate their success in the same way as we do for all the traditional activities we do in school. So stereotypically, there will be young people in your classrooms, in your computer rooms, who are into who are into coding clubs, who come to the Minecraft clubs if you run them, who are very much into tech, who would love to do this. This is what they love. This is their passion. Then there are the other young people who are just competitive and want to be part of this because they love competing. For example, there was a student on my esports team, my Overwatch team, who was a sub 24.5 second 200-meter runner, sub 11.5 second 100-meter runner, a county tennis player. He also played in the Overwatch team. So you have a massive mix. And esports is age neutral and it's gender neutral. It's disability neutral. So we have boys and girls playing on the same team together. We have year 11s playing with year 8s. Whoever's the best gets to play. It doesn't matter. It's equitable. Likewise, we've had able-bodied students playing with disabled students on the same team in a way that they can't with most traditional sports and traditional activities. It's about meeting young people where they are. Okay, it's about meeting young people where they are. So, in terms of career pathways, yes, we're preparing young people for jobs in the esports industry and the wider video game industry. However, the transferable skills that come through participation in esports are huge, with inherent links to digital, STEM, and creative media industries. Those young people, for example, there are schools and colleges who compete, and I'll talk about the competition stuff in a minute, who build their own PCs. We know that you will know that the hardcore gamers at school will be building their own PCs at school because that's the cheapest way to get the best possible kit. Okay, this is a way that schools and colleges are doing it. That they're adding to this in setting up, establishing an esports club. They're building their own PCs as part of this. We've done some projects in alternative provision schools whereby the teachers who ran the esports club didn't have a clue basically about the tech behind it, but 3 separate schools in that project out of the 8 reported as these machines, and we managed to blag a load of gaming machines for 6 weeks to put into these schools. As these machines with the transparent sides were being bought out the boxes, the kids were like, whoa, it's got that cooling unit, it's got that graphics card, it's got that processor. This is amazing. You know, going through the tech, most of the teachers who were involved didn't have a clue. They weren't IT teachers. They were just facilitating it. So again, it's engaging young people with something that they love. So the wider industry, the video game industry, is worth more on an annual basis than the film industry and the music industry combined. I just say that one again. So the video game industry is worth more on an annual basis than the film industry and the music industry combined. So when parents, when senior leaders say, "Oh, video games, it's a waste of time. You're wasting your time." That's not what. No, I'm not talking to you about it. It's a waste of time. Actually, it's not. You can go back to them and say, look at these different opportunities, look at these jobs, not just within the esports industry, but the wider video game industry, and then the linked digital STEM creative industries that are inherently linked. So the British Esports Student Champs, okay, we have run this for the last 6 years. And on a Wednesday after school, we have over 700 teams from schools and colleges throughout the UK competing online against each other using these 4 games that are on the screen. So we've got League of Legends, which is teams of 5. Think of it like Dungeons and Dragons, that fantasy-based game. This is a 12 rated game. We've got Overwatch 2, which again is a 12 rated game, teams of 5, and it's a first-person shooter. And then Rocket League, which is teams of 3, and it's got a PEGI rating of 3 and above, where you're driving rocket-powered cars around an arena to knock an oversized football into a goal. Paris Saint-Germain, Barcelona, David Beckham's Guild Esports have got Rocket League teams, for example. And then on the right-hand side is Valorant. Valorant's a 16 rated game, and again, it's a first-person shooter as well. So 6th year, we're the only PC competition of its kind in the country. And it is a PC-based game, a PC-based competition, because kids can bring in controllers and plug controllers in if they want, but it is a PC-based competition. We have run individual tournaments linked to FIFA and a few other things like that as well, and NBA 2K, but actually the Champs itself is a PC-based game, and we can give you advice around the minimum specs and things like that are required. The live grand finals happen every June time, and up until this point, they've taken place at the Confetti Institute in Nottingham, which is part of Nottingham Trent University. Phenomenal facilities in terms of broadcast and production. They have their own dedicated esports arena called Confetti X. Kalam will be able to put a link into the chat to you about Confetti X. So the seasons for the Champs run from September till Christmas, and then January till Easter. You can, if you wish, if you wanted to enter teams in January, you can. The next window for application that opens in January, the next competition starts at the end of January. In terms of level of kit, I used to teach. I taught most of my career in Reading, and a colleague who's head of IT, Alison Evans, her name is. She went to work at East Hampstead Park in Bracknell. And she contacted me right at the start, year 1 of this competition. She had a new year 9 lad starting the school who was a Rocket League player, who sent her a lovely letter saying, look, I've just seen this competition that's starting. I'm new in the school. You probably won't be able to help, but I would love to enter a team if we could. She managed to find 3 battered old laptops that were staff laptops, or old staff laptops. And these 3 year 9 lads played from the back of the IT office on a Wednesday after school. They managed to get to the live grand finals, and unfortunately they got beaten by a team of 18-year-olds from an FE college. But it shows what can be done with a small amount of kit. So there's the links there, and Cal's putting some links in the chat where you can find out further information. It's got handbooks, it's got all about the stuff, all the ports you need to unblock and get your network managers on board and all that sort of stuff. All that information you can find through that Champs page there, through that Champs link. So here's a few pictures from the Champs finals. Of the 8 teams that got to the finals last year, 3 of the teams had girls in them. When we streamed the live grand finals last year via twitch.tv, if you haven't come across it, you have a little look. Your students certainly will know about it. We had 250,000 views or viewerships of these champs finals on the Saturday, which again, when you're talking to your senior leadership, ask a question about how many people they get watching the first 15 play, or the first 11 football team, or things like that, and then talk to them about esports. So that's a view out from Confetti X. That's an 18, or it's a 17 meter. No, sorry, is it 34 meter? I think it's a 34 meter video screen, something ridiculous like that. Anyway, that runs across the full width of the arena here. Okay, so it's worth saying that it's all about esports. Isn't just about the players. It is about the team, the leadership team that goes around it. You'll see that the girl at the back there with the headset on, she's an observer. So that's essentially a referee, if you like, a third party independent referee that stands at the back there. It's not just about the players. You'll have kids who want to design the jerseys, design the logos. You'll get kids wanting to doing analysis as part of the teams. They might not be interested in the game. It's like me saying I'm interested in rugby, but I'm not interested in football. It's the same thing with these video game titles. You'll get young people wanting to play one game or one genre of game, but they're not interested in others. However, they are interested in esports. So they want to be part of designing the jerseys, designing the logos. Perhaps can they clip highlight reels together from the games and create an intro, create an outro, and pull it all together that you can publish on social media, for example. Huge opportunities around the widest sense. Then, if you wanted to go down the furthest degree, you stream your games. And this is what a lot of the top FE colleges and schools are doing. They're setting up a stream team on Twitch in the same way that I helped as a student run the school newspaper or the school magazine. Twitch is the modern equivalent of that. So they're streaming their games. Yes, they'll have the team playing, but then they'll have commentators, they'll have hosts, and then the production team behind the scenes actually producing the stream. So again, giving young people the opportunity to develop this range of digital and creative media skills. So then we've also worked with Pearson. We've worked with Pearson to create BTECs in esports, level 2 and level 3 BTECs in esports. They're not on performance measures, unfortunately. So I appreciate a lot of you are 11 to 18, but this is not on performance measures, I'm afraid. They get all the same UCAS points as all other BTECs, however, they're not on performance measures. This is the 4th academic year of delivery, and we've had over 9,500 registrations for the level 2 and level 3 courses across those 4 years. We're working with over 2/3 of the FE colleges in the country are engaged with us either through the champs or through the BTEC. So it's a hugely cross-curricular BTEC. You can see there, it's, there's 360 right the way through to a 1080 GLH versions of this, units that cover business, marketing, entrepreneurship, social media, creative media, health, nutrition, performance, games design. It's a hugely cross-curricular opportunity. There are now 14 different universities in the country offering a range. There are 42 different HE degree programs involving esports now across 14 different centers. In the US, over 350 colleges in the US now offer scholarships for esports in the same way as they do for traditional sports. So we're going through level 3 reform. We don't know what this could look like yet, but there are different opportunities there for you anyway. Also, and this is hot off the press, we're working with the Leadership Skills Foundation, which is the reincarnation or the rebranding of what was Sports Leaders, or the SLQ. And you probably will have come across this in schools. You might not run it yourself, but you'll be aware of it. They've been running the Sports Leaders Awards for the last 30 years. So in the same way that year 9 and year 10 students would use football, organize, plan, and then lead a football tournament for local primary schools to come in, we're working with them to do the same thing in esports, using esports leadership. Okay, so young people will, so years 9, 10, 11, 12 or 13 will organize esports tournaments, game of their choice. It could be a Minecraft tournament, doesn't matter, but using video games to develop esports, to develop leadership skills. As you can see there, there's level 2 and level 1 and level 2 versions, 24 to 32 GLH, very small sample, very small GLH, but it will give them a recognised leadership skills foundation British eSports certificate at the end of doing that. We're running trailblazer groups with this in January, so we're signing teams, schools up at the moment to be part of this, and the wider launch will then be in September. So we've essentially got a pathway from level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. It is worth mentioning, as is, we've also developed level 4 HNCs, level 5 HNDs with Pearson as well. And we have an exclusive partnership with the College of Esports in London, which is a boutique university based at the Velodrome at Olympic Park in Stratford, around esports and esports business. So just a few other bits, final 5 minutes or so. So I want to mention our Women in Esports initiative as well, run by our female colleagues, Alice and Billy, and it's an award-winning initiative for the work that they've done. Esports and gaming, as you will be aware, as with the wider tech industry, is still a male-dominated space. However, we're working hard to empower young people, not just girls. This is for all marginalised genders, LGBTQ plus TIA, across the spectrum. Gaming and esports is an incredibly inclusive community, and so we're working hard to put people through our advisory board, our Women in Esports advisory board, to put people into position, not put people into positions, but to allow people to recognise role models within the industry to aspire to, young women, girls, marginalised genders to aspire to along the way. Other projects to mention, so esports is now classified as a skill by the Duke of Edinburgh's award, so you can get it signed off as a skill. We've done some work. We've done a lot of community projects with the police, in alternative provision, for young people with different abilities, or who are differently able. Cal, can you put the BBC report into the chat as well? That'd be great if you could. We worked with the National Star College in Gloucestershire. We managed to blag a load of Xboxes from Microsoft with adaptive controllers, and ran a FIFA tournament there. We also wrote and presented the inaugural Microsoft Esports Teacher Academy as well, which you can still find on MS Learn. We have a very close relationship with the NSPCC. I'm the designated safeguarding lead for the organisation. The NSPCC have written all our safeguarding policies and procedures. And after years of us paying them for their consultancy, they've actually come back to us in the last 6 months and have asked us for our help in helping them to facilitate the Game Safe Festival, which they're running in February. That will be announced in the next few weeks, that will culminate with a FIFA tournament, or an FC24 tournament that they're organising. Lastly, I just want to mention what we have in Sunderland. So for any people based in the Northeast or people who want to come up for visits, we've just opened in September the National Esports Performance Campus based in Sunderland. So the same as Penny Hill Park is for rugby, or St George's Park is for football, or Bisham Abbey is for sport, Loughborough University, Bath University, we have opened the same space in Sunderland. We're partnered with Dell and with Intel. And it's a space for performance, for training, for education purposes, for broadcasting, for hiring out for that point of view. As part of it, we've bought as part of the campus are 3 gaming houses, 3 houses from the 1840s that we've converted back from offices into houses that sleep 25. So this is then internal shots of what the houses look like, because when teams come up to train, this is where they'll be based, in these houses. And this is where they'll live and train, essentially. In the roof of the houses, so we've got Dell Alienware kit. So these are 4080 graphics cards, i7s with 360 hertz monitor. And we've got 105 of those systems based around the campus. There are some i9 machines around and about as well, for the broadcast capabilities and things like that. So you can see the new building on the left-hand side there, that merges in with the old. So Sunderland College, for example, are teaching the BTEC from this space as well. Lots of boot camp rooms, training rooms, performance rooms. It's going to be the sort of thing that we can obviously hire out the houses for the weekends as well through Airbnb too. Then in the second half of this year, probably not March and April now, it's probably going to be the end of May, start of June, next to the Stadium of Light in Sunderland, right across the car park, this is going to be the arena. It's an old it's an old Audi car dealership actually, that we're converting into an arena space, so that when we have home and away fixtures, so for example, with the Saudi Esports Federation, who are massive in the esports and gaming space, we're going to be having home and away fixtures with Saudi Esports, and so this is where the fixtures will be played. In here, we're going to have a 200-seat arena. That's a 16-meter. The white space is a 16-meter wide video screen, and so it'll be able to sit 200, 250 people in there, along with an activation space at the back. So this will be ready for end of May, start of June. So if you're in and around Sunderland, in the northeast, or even teacher training venues, we've got a venue that in the place that sits 65 to 80 people comfortably in a training venue as well, that then has the classroom space. We've got 3 classrooms with all that Alienware kit in, as well, that can be used then for training. So look, that's it from me. That's a whistle-stop tour of British esports, of esports itself, of what we're doing in schools and colleges. There are huge opportunities for your young people to get involved in different ways and different means. Minecraft Education Edition, for younger students, is fantastic. But then Rocket League, working up through then Overwatch, League of Legends is a bit more niche, but certainly sixth formers will be interested in playing Valorant as well. So look, that's it. That's it from me. Open to questions. Please dive in. Feel free to ask anything you would like.
Tom, thank you ever so much for sharing that. I'm looking forward to seeing the questions. I'm just going to say I'm going to stop the video recording now, so we won't be recording the questions or the responses.